I put this whole vision board, of what I wanted to do in life. I had this thing that really inspired me. I had a Forbes magazine, and on the cover was Dado. I hadn't even met him yet. We were willing to move to the Philippines. It's just not another Filipino American saying, oh, I want to help the Philippines, but then I'm going to stay in the US, right? We were all selling our cars, our houses. You got to make sure that you have a must-have product. Because the internet is so bad and we couldn't really find office space, we were at Asian Institute of Management and noticed that there was a building with Dado's name on it that we actually squatted there. They didn't even know who we were. We're like, oh yeah, we heard about this through one of our advisors. They go, okay, go ahead. Right? We're like, what? Okay. So we were like working on Kumu as squatters in this AIM thing that had Dado's name on it, launching a live streaming app to everyone else while we were working behind the scenes. I felt like freaking no, I was building a boat that no one got, and then COVID happened, so yeah.
Well, speaking of COVID, like how did COVID impact, your operations and your business?
Yeah, so culturally it was crazy, right? So when we closed our Series A round, we were about 50 people, and now we're well over 100. If you include our part-time people, we're now a team of 200 people. So actually there's more hires during COVID. So the team is actually bigger. The people that we've hired since COVID is actually bigger than the entire company pre-COVID, which is kind of like, I don't know, that's a challenge in itself. But the reason why is because our revenue has grown 10x, and a lot of the user base has really grown at a dramatic pace. That quite frankly, it's just a new experience right now that we're challenging. Like there's a joke, like before we launch a big live stream show, we pray to the servers because we could please server gods handle, because it just crashes. So many people hit the app that the thing crashes. So the good news is, this is why I love Open Space Ventures. They go, oh man, you guys remind us of when Gojek was, oh wait, what? That's cool. Like we remind them of an early Gojek, right? So it's just, we are getting a lot of infrastructure challenges, but at the same time, we're really lucky to have those types of challenges at the same time. So.
You mentioned that your current employee base, has like grown. Are you hiring all in the Philippines, or is that like expanded at this point?
Yeah. So one of the most important things is, it's been really, really humbling. So in addition to local talent, just like how we had the Avengers, for example, we've recognized what we call the X-Men, this young core group. So I won't say yet, I think we'll just announce it. But for example, we had someone from a Silicon Valley unicorn in San Francisco quit their job to join us here in Manila. A data scientist from the largest unicorn in Singapore quit their job and moved to the Philippines. Like I said, not only, and then from the internship perspective, and then, we engaged every single Filipino Harvard Business School student this year. We have someone from Yale, and then someone from USC coming on board. So like we've really blown the horn and try to get some of the top Filipino talent globally to help us on this initiative.
That's great.
But in addition to that, though, to your point, because it's so Manila centric, most of our employees have come from the hardcore users of Kumu. So we have people as far north from the Mindanao northern areas, and as far south as Mindanao. As far north as Ilocos Norte and Cagayan area, to as far south as Mindanao. They're all quitting their jobs and they're all moving to Manila, because that's something that's also hidden in the narrative. Is everyone assumes that, Kumu is made up of a bunch of students from Ateneo, LaSalle, and UP, but they don't know about our students from Bacolod, Cagayan State University, and Mindanao State University as well, bringing them into Manila and providing jobs that way as well.
Right. I think that's, for me, like with PhilDev, just this job creation is such a big part of our vision and goals, right? That when companies are born and built in the Philippines, in any country, but for PhilDev, you know, the goal is to do that in the Philippines, that you create jobs and, you know, thereby just distributing wealth across, like you said, all of these people, not just from Manila, that it's just an idea. Those plans are manifesting in real forms through companies like Kumu and you. So
thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, you know, just so to kind of answer, because I know I didn't go too deeply, Julia, about what exactly Kumu does. So long story short, when you guys, where I'm from in Santa Monica, right? So if you go to 3rd Street Promenade, right? And you see someone playing the guitar, what do? If you like the content, you throw coins in their guitar case. So we actually do that digitally. And so by doing that digitally, we've created a really authentic way. So Gen Zs and millennials not just appreciate the fact that it's live, but you're not creating content for likes or views anymore. If the content is real and raw and authentic and you enjoy it, you're actually going to give money. So that's why that authentic connection experience is so key. It's actually giving money at time. So when we say that we're the number 8 grossing app in Norway, number 9 in UK, number 10 in Canada, UAE, whatever, it's because you have Filipinos all around the world sending millions of dollars in these gifts to creators who create content, whether it's singing, cooking food, hanging out, dancing, whatever, in the Philippines. So right now we have about 500 people who earn full-time incomes just live streaming and receiving these busking, you know, these 3rd Street Promenade gifts from all over the world. And in addition to the 500 people who earn full-time incomes, we have 6,000 people who earn part-time incomes on the side to
Just
pay
side
bills and stuff
hustling.
like that. Yeah, exactly. So you have 6,000 people on the side hustle and 500 people on the full hustle. And the reason why it's so cool is because there's not a shortage of singing in the Philippines right now.
It's like
And
your
so,
own karaoke, right?
yeah, it's so crazy. Like our top earners right now, I just saw last month, we had a couple of people earning over $1 million pesos. So it's over $20,000 a month in income that they're earning. So yeah.
wow.
I'm gonna start vocalizing after this call.
Yeah, it's so funny. Yeah, so it's been quite, and again, it's a lot smaller than the billions of dollars being sent by Filipinos to the Philippines. But again, that's part of our product market fit is we found viewers around the world. Especially imagine you're a registered nurse who grew up in Manila and you're currently based in a hospital in Kentucky, you know, and
Right.
you don't really connect to your current, you know, Filipino channel options because it's to your like mom's audience. But on Kumu, you download Kumu and you're connecting with people, especially it's not just Tagalog and English, it's Bisaya, Ilocano, Bicolano content, and they're all Gen Zs and millennials. So you're kind of forming those connections on the app. So,
That's
yeah.
nice. Well, earlier you mentioned about growth and you mentioned your current funding.
Yeah.
Is that the future for Kumu now? Like just focusing on growth? Are you gonna test other features? Like what can we expect?
Yeah, so one of the key things, so it talks about in Reforge too, is this whole concept. So the head of growth at Instagram said, how did we get from like 400 million monthly active users to 1 billion monthly active users? And it's this whole concept of adjacent user theory. So right now, our 2 biggest product market fits that we've seen is the this particular sequence, which is the paying user. So that's like the global Filipino who loves it, or the local Filipino. And then here is the streamer, the entertainer. And so now we have these other adjacent users that we're super focused on, which is like someone who doesn't purchase content but is entertained so that we could actually monetize through advertising. Or what we're really excited, which is our fastest growing business, is e-commerce. So in addition to live streaming for money, you're talking about a phone. And we've sold so many phones. We have a big partnership with Huawei that it was actually featured in their global. Can you imagine Kumu was actually mentioned in Huawei's, you know, those Apple developer conferences, the global thing. So Huawei, in front of the 10 million attendees, was talking about Kumu as one of their big case studies of how to sell their phones through Gen Zs and millennials, right? And so I think that for us, really focusing on e-commerce as another big product market fit for us is super exciting. And then again, continually to focus on the Gen Z and millennial attention span of the Philippines as digital transformation continues to grow. So whether that means going into education, healthcare, finances, Kumu, the live streaming app, is the entertainment app. But then what we see, similar to say V&G Corporation in Vietnam and what Kakao was able to do in Korea, is we really want to be more of a consumer internet company, prioritizing the voices of an entire generation. So back to my original thesis, but like in a way that prioritizes the community voice rather than, me thinking that a messenger app would blow up, and we completely failed at that, right? So again, it's the same thesis of prioritizing the voices of an entire generation, but really taking a more adjacent user sequenced approach. Okay, we have a product market fit here. What's next? We have a product market fit here. Next, until eventually we have 40 million monthly active users.
Wow.
So we're super excited. And we're just,
I'm just so amazed. Like I said, I feel like I've known you for like a really long time. But when I think about it, like 3.5 years, right?
Yeah, Jonesy, like when you came into this has been by far the the most challenging, the most craziest, that what I've experienced over the last 2.5, 3 years feels like a decade. And it was PhilDev. Oh my gosh, I didn't even go back. So the reason why I've even found out about PhilDev was when I sold that company in Silicon Valley. That was back in 2010. And at the time I was like, oh, cool, I'm a bowler now. But I didn't know what I was doing because I was a stupid 20-something-year-old that I wanted to get into philanthropy. And I went to this kind of Ayala Foundation gala that shifted to PhilDev that year. It was in San Jose.
San Jose, with the one where President
President Aquino was there.
Yeah.
And I remember attending that, and then that's when I realized that's
you were there?
what I want.
I was there. We could have met back in 2010, is what you're telling me.
Yeah, because back in 2010, I was just this young, wide-eyed. What do? I just exited. I want to kind of plug into the community. But the thing is, I think it might be a personality type. I haven't really gelled so well with the community back home. I don't know why. Maybe it's just personality. So like, I was like, oh, this is cool. And then that's when I first heard of Dada. I was like, whoa, that's goals right there. Like, look at that. I want to do that someday. You know what I mean? Like, kind of thing, just like the way a Kobe looks up to a Michael Jordan, right? That kind of a thing, right? And so that was back in 2010. And I totally forgot about that. That's how I actually found out. I was just randomly went to that dinner, and I just like, wow, I didn't even know this existed, because from my particular context, I didn't come from like a place where you have multi-generation. It was just like, my parents just talked about Filipino food, right? Like I didn't know that there was this world, and so that dinner in San Jose was an introduction to like another world where building an ecosystem around technology and innovation was a different way of looking at helping the Philippines, as opposed to like a typical, oh, let's go build some houses and clean water type stuff. So
right.
I remember, dang, that's so crazy. Yeah, I totally forgot about that.
That is crazy. So, I know that we could go on and talk for really a lot longer, but you're still so young and so like still early on in your like entrepreneurial journey, but given where you are now, like what advice or lessons that you would give either your earlier self, and I would also ask sort of from two different perspectives, right? Like from your Philam perspective in, talking to other global Filipinos who are thinking of going back and kind of making that jump or taking that risk that you did, but then also as just an entrepreneur building a business and what that was for you.
Yeah, I think the number one thing is, and this comes from Ben Horowitz when he wrote The Hard Thing About the Hard Things, is the number one advice that he gives to entrepreneurs, and is really managing between your ears, like really your mental health. I think that it is one of the most underappreciated and underspoken things about the importance of really building up and having a strong mind. I think that being an entrepreneur tends to be like a sexy term that people don't truly understand, but to actually sacrifice and put your whole identity and sense of purpose on the line all the time, and dealing with, because all we shared about were the yeses, right? But how about the 1,000 no's, right? Where you think you're a failure. Like I'm laughing, oh, ha, 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 we built an app that no one cares about. Do you know how stressed out I was back then when I spent a couple $100,000 on an app that no one cares about. And I'm looking at these people who moved with me and I completely failed them. And the sense of anxiety and fighting those depressive thoughts that you need to bring down and really focus on your mental health. And so when you do that, it's like behaviors. Like for me, how I keep myself sane is my morning ritual, reading my short, mid, and long-term goals, having a deep spiritual center, doing the yoga, whatever it is. And I can't start my day without having that morning ritual to clear your mind and be completely good with the fact that, hey, if you lost everything tomorrow, Roland, or say I don't know, let's just say I lost everything. Are you completely fine with that? And the reason why I'm completely fine with that is because I have a strong core that's really focused around happiness that comes from three things: a commitment to self-growth, deep interpersonal relationship with my friends and family, and an overarching theme of helping other people. And that is my identity, not the money or the success or the prestige that comes from it, because I could lose all this. But if I don't have these three things, and that's where my happiness comes from. And so when I remind myself that Kumu is an opportunity to do all those three things, right? Launching a business. Yeah, I got it. There's going to be a lot of focus on self-growth. 2, without a team that I can trust with my family, I have deep interpersonal relationships with my friends and family where we joke about these things and have fun doing it. And 3, the fact that Kumu is really based on helping other people. That's what I have to constantly remind myself, that my identity is centered on those 3 core values that don't change. And it's nothing about how I look or how much money I make or my achievements or how well I'm liked. Like who gives a crap, right? And so that's what I think is super key for any entrepreneur or anyone willing to take that risk. Is it's going to kill you. I mean, something that Dado talks about is this willing to die for. And I was really ruminating and meditating on when he first told me that, right? Willing to die for something. And it made me recognize the fact that the average human being lives 30,000 days. And so if you're willing to put a good amount of days towards your life, with the remaining days that you have left on your life, you're technically dying for that thing. And so if I'm willing to stay focused and put all my days into it, I'm actually dying for that thing. And so his advice was super helpful for me to stay super focused and not, do side jobs and side gigs. That seems like an interesting opportunity. It's just like focus, to the point that I'm technically dying for it. That was super key. And so, yeah. And for anyone who's Filipino American or wants to do an opportunity in the Philippines, I highly suggest you read the Google Temasek report on the digital economy of Southeast Asia. And according to the World Economic Forum, you have 400 million middle-class jobs springing up, not just in here, but in Vietnam, Thailand, Malaysia, whatever. Something special is happening, that this is probably the best time to be both Filipino and American, and also Filipino and Chinese, or Filipino and British, and Filipino and Australia, because something special is happening in this particular region of the world that it needs like people, who grew up in particular contexts to provide perspective in executing a defensible business in the Philippines.
Awesome.
Wow.
Thank you for that.
Oh, thanks. Appreciate it.
So I think we're gonna take it in a different direction now and just do a fun rapid fire. So Julia and I are gonna jump back and forth and
yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, there's someone there's a joke that I look like a host who has a consult with this. His name's Boy Abunda. He's there. I was actually on a Zoom call with him.
At all.
Yeah, it was because I had a Zoom call with him earlier talking about his show on Kumu. And I remember he was telling me that he has a show called Rapid Fire or something, and it's a pretty cool concept. That this idea, because this is cool. Yeah, I'm open.
Okay, are we ready?
Ready.
Okay, so Roland, not choosing Kumu, what is your favorite social media app?
So Wattpad.
What is it?
Wattpad, it's like
I don't
it's
even know.
basically
I'm so old.
no. What's so cool? So it's basically Gen Z's and millennials who are authors and they write novels and they build followings around reading their content. It's something I was just I was connected with the CEO. It's one of the fastest growing apps right now with young people because it's the complete opposite of a 20-second video, if you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And when a creator puts enough time and writes an entire novel, the attention span and the amount of depth to build a community that supports that novel is a lot different than just watching a 20-second video, right?
Sure.
And so there's just something really engaging about it, and I just think there's something cool about it. I love the communities that are being formed around these creators who write novels. And
Nice.
and
I'm gonna have to check it out.
I know. I'll check it out too. Okay, next question. Favorite Filipino food?
Sinigang.
Okay. Favorite book or book recommendation?
The hard thing about hard things. Oh my gosh, Ben Horowitz, totally. Number one.
All right.
Not even close.
Favorite hobby?
Favorite hobby? Hip hop or spoken word poetry or beatboxing, that type of stuff.
Okay, name a vice of yours or guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure, Pulveron. Oh no, fried chicken. Fried chicken. Jollibee's fried chicken or mini style fried chicken.
Yum.
Yeah.
If you could go anywhere in the world, where and why?
Barcelona. It's my so 7 Effective Habits is also one of my key things, and that's my sharpen the saw town. I mean, if you want to just kind of take a couple months off and just focus on something, I can't really now, but post Kumu, hopefully when I'm a big supporter of PhilDev, right? When I'm wealthy enough, I do see myself summering in Barcelona and just kind of just rethinking like, how can I help the Filipino community? Those types of things. Yeah, there's something about Barcelona. Yeah.
Okay. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
Morning.
Okay. Song you love.
Song you love?
Mm-hmm. A song.
So right now, Jonesy, we need to catch up. So my girlfriend, she is a singer-songwriter with Warner Music, and she's currently being nominated for Song of the Year, her folk song, and her name's Aloysa. And right now, she's working on an album called Pag-ibig, and she's literally, so I'm watching her write these songs, and several of these songs are actually based off of us. And so there's definitely I would probably say her Pag-ibig album is something I'm super excited about when it gets released. But yeah, she's
nice.
So anyway, so yeah.
Like, oh, how sweet! Now I have to listen to it, or send me a sample.
Add on the link below.
For sure.
When it's live.
Yeah, for sure. I'm super proud.
Okay, is there a sound or song that you hate?
Sound or song?
Yeah, that you hate.
Sound is, I hate the sound of screeching chalkboard, but I don't even know if people can relate anymore because it's all whiteboard now.
Right.
But I still
or online.
Yeah, or like that, the sound of like metal crunching.
Yeah,
there's something about, I can't stand it.
Okay, next question. 3 people, dead or alive, you could have dinner with.
Dead or alive?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus, Mahatma Gandhi, and Martin Luther King. That'd be cool.
Nice. Okay. What is your number one bucket list item or something that you've never done but you'd like to try?
Like to try? Probably. I've been following the Mars stuff. That'd be cool to go. But then I think I might get stuck there. So something in space. I just don't know what exactly yet. Yeah.
All right.
Best advice received.
Never give up. Her name is Jessie Rees. She was a 9-year-old struggling with leukemia, and she told me that before she passed away.
Oh.
Oh.
Well,
Yeah,
that?
she's one of the, if you guys follow it, she's actually based, Eric, her father, founded an organization called Never Ever Give Up.
Mhm.
And it's one of the things I hold into my heart is to never give up, ever.